Máréfalva is one of the longest villages in Harghita County, lying along a 4-kilometer ribbon of land in the narrow Fenyed Valley. The stream runs along the foot of Szekler Plateau in the eastern Carpathians at the junction of the Transylvanian Basin and the Harghita Mountains. Historically, the village belongs to the Udvarhely region, lying 9 kilometers from Székely Udvarhely and 43 kilometers from Csíkszeredő. Before 2003, it belonged to Fenyed, but during the spring of that year, the inhabitants of the village expressed their demand to establish a separate local government by referendum. The referendum was legally passed in 2004, and since then, Máréfalva has been an independent village again. The history of Máréfalva's establishment and early settlement are unknown. Its name was first mentioned in a 1556 document listing noble people and horse owners. According to historical documents, in the second half of the 16th century, Máréfalva was one of the most important villages of Udvarhely. A court notice from 1567, for instance, mentions Máréfalva as a village with 19 gates, and later, in 1602, another document shows 26 registered family heads. For the era, these numbers reflect a larger-than-average village for the Udvarhely region. Though the first written document is quite recent, archaeological findings from the fortress of Mare, as well as a fort-like cave called Kolik, offer proof that the first inhabitants settled down here much earlier. According to the latest national census, Máréfalva counts 2,000 inhabitants, among which only 3 people declared themselves something other than of the Hungarian nationality. The inhabitants have been Roman Catholic for centuries, and they maintain Roman Catholic practice today. Life in Máréfalva is not simple, and the people struggle every day for their living. This mountainous village is surrounded by bare, rocky fields, which in spite of hard agricultural labor, infrequently produce good crops. Most of the worked lands are on steep hillsides which cannot easily be reached, even by carts, and this is a place where only hard-working Szeklers can survive. These lands have formed those who live here, and in these unfavorable surroundings, the community has developed a deep sense of longing for spiritual fulfillment and for beauty, which can be seen throughout the village. This longing for fulfillment and beauty is specifically represented in one of the village's ethnographic characteristics, carved wooden gates with dovecots. The Szekler gate is a 2-part structure built on 3 columns. The first part is the big gate, which opens towards the inside and is designed according to the height of a loaded hay cart. The second part is a small gate designed for people. The 3 columns are united by one common beam on which there is a single or double row of dovecots. The gate legs and the beams are connected with stable fasteners, which form a semicircular arch on top of the gate. Máréfalva has the highest number of gates in all of Udvarhely, tall ones, bound ones, carved ones, as well as those with dovecots. There are also gates emphasizing the border between the 2 worlds, the one of the outside and the other of the inside, the inner of the home and the outer of the community. These gates are characterized by the practicality of their structure and design, but they are most known for their decorative elements. These decorative elements on the so-called carved or decorated gates are made using chisels of different sizes. Considering the predominant vegetation-focused decorations, one might also call them floral gates. It is widely believed that the most exemplary Udvarhely gates can be found in Máréfalva. The value of these gates is unquestionable, and of the 100 registered gates in Máréfalva, 11 are considered monuments. The oldest standing gate that is still in use stands in front of the Roman Catholic parish house. The gate was made in 1858, and it bears the eternal message, "Blessed be those who come in, farewell to those who leave." Yero József said the following about the Szekler gates. The moderate decoration and crown of the Szekler house is the Szekler gate, which is considered a real member of the family by the head of the house. He may cut the trees of the woods, but he creates new life in the place of the abolished ones, because the Szekler gate is really living and plays an active role in the blood circuit of the everyday struggle. It becomes alive as the Szekler man whispers his soul into it when he carves it and carves God's name in it with modest, blissful letters. The nicely arranged center of the village, from which tourists often begin, is another proof of the deep sense of beauty held by the locals. The center of the village is bordered by the church, and this is where the feasts of the village are held. This is also the administrative center where the local council resides. The Culture Center, another attraction in the center, began in 1960, and the building was inaugurated in 1976. It has recently been renovated using FARE funds. In the yard of the building, there is a monument to the memory of those Máréfalva heroes who died in the First and Second World Wars. The huge untouched block of stone, placed next to it the stone crucifix, donated by the Kolik Cultural Trust Foundation, the local government and the local people, expresses the respect for these heroes. The stone block is of volcanic origin and stands as an expression of the terror and pain caused by the war. It reflects the confession of the Catholics and the long-time mentality of those who were born in such somber surroundings. In honor of the millennium, 11 pine trees were planted in the memorial park next to the cultural center. Here one can also find the first piece of the outdoor gate museum, which dates to 1882. There is also a new gate in front of the kindergarten, which was carved and painted by young people using decorative motifs under the instructions of Mrs. Kovacs-Piroshka, an expert in the field of Szekler gates. The mayor's office is also located near the cultural center. Guests are welcome to visit the local art gallery in the mayor's office, where one can find many wonderful exhibits. The gallery is named after the great painter Balázs Imre, a native of Máréfalva, who has returned with his paintings to his home. His paintings express inner struggles, spiritual states, the archaic and biblical world. They show faces in different moods, tragic, happy, and worshiping. A hotel, to be called Capuzalo, is being built in order to provide accommodation to the tourists, thus contributing to the development of the settlement. The inhabitants of Szekler villages are always proud of their churches. This is especially true in the case of Máréfalva, where the Reformation failed to find followers. Its Roman Catholic church and parish are very old, dating back to 1645. The church was built in the time of Rákóczi György, and his name was carved into the church's stone tower. The original chapel-like church was built in the Botos Valley, and most of it has fallen into disrepair. The sanctuary is all that remains, standing as a memorial stone structure from the turn of the 15th and 16th century. The building of the village's present church started in 1772, and it was offered to Saint Imre in 1783, though the church register has been used since 1721. The church was enlarged and renovated in 1908 to its present form, and the construction continued with the building of a mortuary beginning in 2006. The structure and design of the Máréfalva church are unique and stand as testament to the already world-famous Szekler carpenters. It is normal for villages in Udvarhelyszék to have schools as old as their parish. Máréfalva's old Catholic schoolhouse was built by the community in 1882. The main building of the school was built in 1937 and has been a state school from that time. Máréfalva's school was named after the famous Szekler writer Nyiro József in 1996. When touring Máréfalva, the ethnographic house is also worth a visit. The collection was started in the 1970s under the guidance of ethnographer Mrs. Kovacs-Piroshka, and the inauguration of the house marked the realization of her lifelong wish. As the years have passed, the collection of household items has grown in number. The ethnographic house is known to be more than 100 years old because, while re-roofing, workers discovered a piece of tile bearing the date 1887, thus adding a new bit of history to our knowledge about the building. Alone, the house holds a spiritual value, but in combination with the exhibited objects, each with its own memory and stories, this place acquires an inestimable importance. It is a public treasure and inheritance. The ethnographic house is also where young gate carvers, gate painters, furniture painters, and folk dancers are accommodated during summer camps, and its doors are always open to visitors. Every year, a traditional gate carving and furniture painting camp is organized in Máréfalva, and occasionally the village is home to a periodic folk art conference called the Day of Szekler Gates. The small details and methods of furniture painting and gate carving are taught to participating children, young people, and curious tourists by local and regional masters from around Udvarhelyszék. During breaks, children learn folk games, take cart trips, and also medical herb collecting tours. The main aim of these camps is to let young people rediscover the beauty of traditional peasant furniture art in the hope that these folk arts will not disappear from our homes for good. During these camps, adults and children can experience the joy of creative group work, and at the conclusion of the camps, their products, including a full set of furniture, are exhibited in the cultural center. Máréfalva's main festival, which attracts an increasing number of visitors, is called the Miraculum. The Miraculum is a loosely structured drama set in the hall of the main Kolik cave, where, according to legend, the original story took place. Though the premiere was organized by an internationally recognized group of artists, the Miraculum is presented yearly by the Artera Foundation as the Transylvanian Miracle World. It is performed on an improvised outdoor stage in front of the Kolik cave by people from the village, thus keeping alive elements of the traditional Szekler folk culture. According to the legend, the locals from Máréfalva sought shelter in this cave when the Tatars attacked the village. When the Tatars entered the valley, those from the cave surprised them with dozens of arrows, one of which hit the Tatar leader. The enraged Tatars started a fearsome attack on the people of Máréfalva, but because of the cave's location, the locals were out of harm's way. The Tatars then decided to starve the Máréfalvans into surrender. In the end, both invaders and defenders ran out of food, but those who were in the cave made a kurtos kolach, sweet bread roll, of hay and showed it to the Tatars, shouting, "Look, we're feasting while you're starving." The Tatars gave up, and after demolishing the village, left. Surviving locals came down from the cave singing prayers of gratitude to God and started to rebuild their houses not far from the site of the original village. While the Miraculum greets spectators from far and wide, the Harvest Festival is mainly organized for the village people. It is, even in contemporary times, one of those few occasions when relatives and friends of the family get together to have fun. Young people dress up in traditional Szekler clothes, then set off on ornate carts to invite youngsters from nearby villages to a feast in the evening. Before the ball itself, the young people have to prove their dancing skills. They stop the cart at different places in the village and perform a short, inviting dance to create a party mood amongst the onlookers. Though friends and relatives have the chance to meet throughout Harvest Festival, the real get-together feast in the village is a religious one, the Saint Imre pilgrimage. On this occasion, people who have left Máréfalva try to return home and take part in the Sunday Mass, praising God with gratitude. The patron of Máréfalva's church is Saint Imre, and the pilgrimage is held on the first weekend of November, close to his name day. Young people from Máréfalva show special respect towards Saint Imre, a prince who led a holy life and who is still a role model. Prince Imre lived his life according to wise advice given by his father, King Saint István, who taught his son to keep the Catholic religion, strengthen the church, respect religious leaders, judge justly, make proof of tolerance in all his deeds, pray often, to show mercy and generosity, among other virtues, and to always keep these in mind. Whether it's a pilgrimage, ball, a baptism, or a wedding, whenever there's a reason to have a feast, Máréfalva's ladies put the famous Máréfalva cream pie on the menu. The pie's crust is called a bread donut and is made from leftover dough from bread baking. The dough scraps are gathered together from dough pots and then used for baking pies. The women from Máréfalva say the best dough is the one which is ready when it comes off in the hand. They let the dough rise for 1.5 hours while they heat the stove. Then they make small loaves and let them rise. Before putting them into the stove, the ladies stretch the dough and cover it with cream and cheese, then bake the pies until they develop a crispy topping. The saying goes that you mustn't cut the pies while they're still hot. You may only break pieces off, or your stove will break. Most of the inhabitants of Máréfalva earn their living on their farms, while others work in the nearby town. The geographical situation of the village does not make this place ideal for agriculture, but there are more than 3,000 acres of hay and grazing ground, which are suitable for animal breeding. There are large herds of livestock, but in recent years it has shown signs of diminishing. There are also many companies in the village based on the wood industry, and Máréfalva's craftsmen are mainly carpenters, bricklayers, and joiners. Recently, a small tourism industry has developed, and there are about 30 families in the village who are registered hosts, officially certified by the Ministry of Tourism. Máréfalva also houses a resort which is located next to Fenyed stream. The resort is called the Stream of Máréfalva, and it consists of a quiet stream, its valley and surrounding woods. It is a favorite recreation place for people from the area, and though it's a registered tourist resort, meaning that houses can be built in the area, buildings with industrial purposes are not allowed. At the beginning of the valley, there are many weekend homes, but the deeper one ventures, fewer signs of civilization can be found, and the silence of nature is broken only by the songs of the birds and the whistle of the winds. Orban Balázs wrote in his famous book, The Description of Szekler Land, that the names of the natural beauties around this village are stories in themselves. There is a high mountain in the northern part of the village called Leshej, Peeping Mountain. The side of the mountain, the left side of the village, is called Hadut, Warrior's Road, because a great leader once led his army across this place. Another place at the other end of the village is called Urdug Oltar, the altar of the devil, because, according to local legends, there were idolatrous sacrifices here in ancient times. Where the mountain stream like Fenjed Brook changes its direction from east to north, opposite Second Peak, there is a striking mountaintop called Varnjak, Neck Fortress. Here, Mare Fortress once stood, though there remain few signs of this mysterious fortress. There are no legends around it, and the real evidence of its existence is the village name. Tourists also like the mountains around the 17 villages, an area not far from Máréfalva. The road to the 17 villages area starts at Second Peak, which is a volcanic plateau. From Second Peak, one can admire a panorama encompassing the whole of central Harghita. The horizon stretches to the borderlines with the Madarashi Harghita range. As reflected in its name, the territory contains 17 different villages of Udvarhasek. According to the tradition, these territories were offered to the villages by the lady of a leader as acknowledgement for their help of the locals. If we speak of Second, we must also mention a natural rarity which can be found here, narcissus. Narcissus cover more than 300 acres on Second Peak. This is the country's most beautiful narcissus field and the highest one in Europe. This protected flower, which is also known as a chapel flower, blooms in May and at the beginning of June, during which time the whole field is covered in a beautiful blanket of white flowers. Nature is beautiful not only in summertime but also in wintertime. Máréfalva and its surroundings promise unforgettable experiences to sleigh riders exploring its snow-covered little wood roads. Máréfalva, with its nicely arranged houses, its old and new, beautiful Szekler gates, and its amazing surroundings, will always be an interesting sight for curious tourists, and the locals will always offer the visitors a warm-hearted welcome.